Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from high atop the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along, as always. Another great program planned. Looking forward to it. Glad to have you guys, no matter what, and no matter where and how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, or on 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, WJOB, or in Fort Wayne, on Fort Wayne's only sports station, 1380 The Fan. Just keep it locked right here throughout the day, throughout your travels. And for those of you following us on YouTube, we appreciate you very much so. Hit the subscribe and notifications toggle. What is it that's on your mind today? Indiana football finishes number 10 in the final AP poll. Probably not a big issue there. A top 10 finish is a great finish for any program, especially for one that has not had the success that Indiana has had. So they'll take it, right? But hopefully that'll give them a little bit better boost in the upcoming season. Again, I hate polls. I've gotten to the point where I hate polls because I know that they're very flawed, extraordinarily flawed. It's just a guessing game that most of the time is based on preconceived notions to begin with. This has nothing to do with Indiana, of course. But let's see. I think Notre Dame, of course, finishes second. Ohio State, number one in that. So good for the Hoosiers. Good to see them. That's good publicity. I mean, that's good for your program. It is just positive all the way around. You got the Texas, the teams up there, and all of those. Looking over at the Andy Moore Honda hotline. How about, some Big Ten basketball last night? I'm telling you, this Big Ten conference is something. Both major conferences are. That's what you're going to get. But now Purdue at 7-2 after losing to an Ohio State team that's now 3-5, 11-8, very much fighting to get into the NCAA tournament because they had dropped That is that's only Purdue's second conference loss. They're 15-5 overall. But ironically, this comes off of a loss to Indiana at home. So it's a crazy world. Does that change your thoughts on what Indiana might be able to accomplish? Yeah, it's a weird deal. It is a weird deal, man. Robert says Purdue was on Peacock, changed to watch Butler UConn because Purdue was up by 15. Yeah, you missed out on that. Indiana definitely needs this win tonight as they travel to Northwestern. We'll talk about that, of course. But that's a big win by Ohio State. Doesn't really affect Purdue much. I don't see them as a team that really can win, was going to win the Big Ten title this year. They have enough flaws that this will not be the last loss for them. I mean, and they're not alone. But they're going to take another couple. Again, we're just barely past the third. We're not even halfway through the conference season yet. But Purdue is getting close at 7-2. They've played 9 games. So they're close to the halfway mark. So they're gonna pick up another couple of losses, I would imagine. Finish 16-4 probably in the conference. Very nice. In the upper portion of it. We'll draw them probably a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be curious to see what Michigan does for the remainder of the season. They've had back-to-back very close games against definitely one of the worst, but you might as well say 2 of the worst teams in the conference because Northwestern, Minnesota, both in the bottom 3 with 2 conference wins. Not only close games, but overtime games. And they lost one of those. So there is a lot of change yet, or not necessarily change, but there's a lot of games yet to be played in the Big Ten Conference. And there will be more, quote unquote, upsets. I guess it's an upset since you have a favorite and you have an underdog, and they're not exactly split right down the middle. It's not as if they're that close. So, yeah, Purdue getting that's an upset last night. Certainly. If Northwestern beat Indiana tonight, I don't know that I would call that an upset. They're at home. They're in desperate situation. 2-5, 11-7 on the season, but they are 9-1 at home. They play well at home. They're 0-5 away from Welsh Ryan Arena. They played 5-5 ball the last 10 games, which is exactly what they are. Indiana is 7-3 in their last 10 games. If the Hoosiers can pull this win out, it would leave them at 6-3 in the conference and around 4th place. They're hanging in there. It's their metrics that are a shambles because they barely beat the bad teams. They don't beat the good teams. And this is going to be weird because I could see a scenario where Indiana's record outshines its metrics more so than it did last year. it's going to be interesting because they have a lot of tough games coming up. Their season is going to be made or broken over the next, Northwestern's a tough one because it's on the road. Then they return home to take on Maryland. After that, they go in the 5 of 6 stretch against ranked teams. That is going to pretty much make or break their season. But the home game against Maryland and this road game against Northwestern are of uber importance. Because if Indiana could find a way to win both of those games, that gives them a little breathing room. And it wouldn't hurt as much when they face that daunting schedule. But yet again, they're going to need to pick up a win somewhere, over a quality win. And I don't know that one quality win would do it, but it might. It might. Because Indiana can get through, but those 5 of 6 games, boy, if they were to go 2-4, but win these next 2 games, you're split. And I think their record would look okay. And it's not what the record looks like, it's what the metrics say. Wow. 6 inches of snow and 18 degrees in South Georgia. Oh, man, call the law. Holy, I didn't know it was allowed to get that cold down there. David says, let's hope Woodson doesn't suspend any players today. Well, let's hope that for Indiana fans' sake, that the Indiana players aren't dumb enough to go running out on sneaking out at night. But then again, I guess they don't have to sneak out. So there's that. Yeah, I don't think suspensions are coming after some of the things. Well, I mean, yeah, one doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to get into that. Who cares? Russell says Purdue loses after the West Coast swing at home with Ohio State, their 3rd game in 10 days. Yeah, it's a little rugged. It's a little rugged, but it's something that everyone has to do. Shenanigans says he thought Purdue had it in the bag in the first half, up 16 at one point. Purdue lost at home and IU won on the road at OSU. Does it make that win look a possible tick better for Indiana? Well, it definitely looks better, but it's how it works out numbers-wise at the end of the season, I guess, really. But yes, it definitely looks better. And it looks good that IU went on the road and beat a team that then goes on the road and beats Purdue. It's the same with USC. They beat USC, and then USC went and didn't they upset Illinois at Illinois? That's happened twice this year with Indiana. It's crazy. It is crazy. I know a lot of people out there are wanting change for the program. So it's got to put fans in a very difficult position. If you're a fan of a team that you want change for as far as the leadership, but yet you want to see your team do well, win. So you're not going to cheer for your team to lose. And Indiana is in a position of not just going out and losing all the time. Good to see you, David, on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. And if you can't listen to us on radio, make sure you, or for those times where you can't find us on radio, you can always find us on YouTube. And you can enter comments anytime as well. IU is a 5.5-point underdog tonight, according to ISC there. Aaron, thank you for that information. Now, that would seem a lot to me to a Northwestern team. I know it's on the road. That just seems a lot. Aaron thinks that this is a must-win as any game for Woodson. Almost all of these games now are becoming must-wins. Not necessarily. There are some games you're expected to lose, but you can't lose the ones you're not expected to lose, and they have done that some. You've got to win something that you're not expected to. They have not done that yet, and they're going to have to do that to get into the tournament, in my opinion. This team is so Jekyll and Hyde, but I think that that's part of it, the identity, that they don't really have an identity. You never know what you're going to see. Serene in Cincinnati, down with the flu. Hate to hear that. But if you're going to be inside, now's the time to be in. Took my new engineer for a walk this morning, and holy smokes, -2. No bueno. No bueno. That is no good. Let's see. Brian points out Northwestern is 0-6 in conference and 7-10 overall. Is that right? No, they're 2. Northwestern is 2-5 in the conference. And 11, unless I am missing something. And 11-7 overall. Unless I am completely missing something here. And I don't think I am. Yeah, Northwestern in conference play, 2-5, 11-7 overall. But they're 9-1 at home. They win at home. Aaron says, good luck if you've bet on IU at all this season. He has, and he's lost every time. UCLA falling apart. 4-4 in conference play. They win at home. They're 10-1, 13-6 overall. But yeah, they're one of the teams that I thought was going to challenge. And at the beginning of the season, they looked like they were. But then things started to go awry. And not only that, Mick Cronin just started going off. Didn't he? I think he went off last night. No, that was someone else. But then he started going off. He throwing players under the bus, throwing his coaches under the bus, just complaining about the travel schedule, all kinds of craziness. But Dan Hurley is, this dude's out of control. Berated another official during Tuesday night's 80-78 win over Butler after he admitted it, only after he was caught on camera telling them, don't turn your back on me. I'm the best effing coach in the sport. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what he said. That is what he said. He's a little whack. No doubt about that. Hey, we've got to take a quick break. We've got plenty more to talk about. Indiana is at Northwestern tonight. We'll kind of set the table for that. Get your thoughts. All of that when we return to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this unbelievably cold Wednesday. But we're happy to have you where it's nice and toasty. And not right now, but later on this evening, maybe to warm things up, a little hard truth. Sour mash bourbon.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Wednesday. I'm glad to have you along for the ride. I hope you're staying warm. Got a little trickle going in your faucet to keep that from freezing. I know I have one of my restrooms is on the outside wall, and I'm checking that, make sure that's going, because whoo, negative degrees is negative degrees, and that's just BS cold. It's that's just too cold. There's no reason for it. Hopefully, luckily, things are going to warm up just for a minute. Going to climb up to 24 degrees today. Only expected to get down to 19 tonight. Climbing all the way up to 31 tomorrow, but dropping to 8. So what is that? Tomorrow has a higher high by 7 degrees and a lower low by 11. What are we, in the desert? Friday, climbing to 15 with a low of, or 25 with a low of 15. Not that you all need a weather report. But we hit Saturday, and you're going to see 41 degrees. Holy smokes, may have to lay out or something. I mean, it's wintertime, so what are you going to do? That's what happens in winter, right? Without question. Memorial Stadium expansion. I wish I knew exactly kind of what the plans were or the thoughts were right now as to what that will be. But I look forward to seeing when they finally come out of how that will turn out. No doubt that Indiana is going to have a stadium expansion. It is something that they have needed for a while. And by that includes the suites with a new press box, of course. I'm going to be curious on how they design it. Because of when they closed the stadium in, it kind of didn't leave a setup for really a lot more seats. There's some spots in the south corners, but the one end doesn't really hold that many. You would have to go up and around. And I wonder what they'll do with the press box. Will they take it end to end with suites and of the like, things of the like? Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I spoke about the top 25 earlier, AP top 25 in football, the final top 25 in football. Not a lot of surprises, of course. Ohio State and Notre Dame finish 1 and 2 in that. The Buckeyes received every first place vote, which as they should. I'm surprised there wasn't an idiot that thought he would go elsewhere and go rogue. But pretty good job by the Buckeyes to regroup. Now, when it comes to Coach of the Year and things like that, I'm not giving that to Ryan Day. Not that he didn't do a great job. His team lost a game at home to Michigan, which they shouldn't have lost, but they used that to propel themselves to where they ended up as national champions. But do not forget, he has a $20 million payroll. And that ain't bad. You're supposed to win. You better win. That's why Ohio State fans are so upset losing to Michigan for the 4th year in a row, especially a Michigan team that had lost to Indiana, that had lost to a lot of other teams, and they were at home. I still can't get over that. That's just a little mind-boggling. But yeah, they had a $20 million payroll. I'm not going to jump up and down because that team won the freaking national championship. You think the SEC schools are not going to go loading up to their boosters now? Hey, man, we need more. You want to win? You want to beat the Big Ten? Huh? Then pony up. Speaking of which, the ACC is weighing the possibility of changing their conference championship, the way that it plays out, in response to the college football playoff and getting in there, or getting multiple teams in to that. Let me get, here we go. Yeah, this was I saw this in ESPN. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips said Sunday that the league will have conversations among coaches and ADs as to whether to make changes to its conference championship game format. The conversations are a result of the expanded 12-team college football playoff, which is expected to go more, by the way, and ensuring conference champions and the teams that play in conference championships game remain important. This past season, SMU of the ACC entered the ACC championship game as their regular season champion. But they lost to Clemson, who was not in the top 12 of the CFP. SMU was. but they lost to Clemson in the ACC title game, and SMU had to sweat out whether or not they were going to get to stay in that 12-team field as Clemson was catapulted in and screwed a whole bunch of stuff up. Phillips said the ACC could consider giving its regular season champion a bye and have the teams that finished second and third in the league standings play in the ACC championship game. I mean, it's not dumb. I have to tell you. You've got a team that is looking good and is projected to be good like SMU was. They could have just held pat and probably not moved. He also said another possibility is having the top 4 teams play on the final weekend of the regular season. First place versus fourth place and second place versus third place, with the winners playing the following weekend in the ACC championship game. Well, my only question is, how the hell are you going to make that schedule work? If it's the last regular season game of the year, what if they have already played each other and their schedule, I don't know how you're going to schedule that. But I do understand these smaller, it's hard to imagine calling the ACC a smaller, but the less powerful football conferences are trying to do whatever it is that they want to do. Now, ESPN does have their way too early top 25 college football rankings, Ohio State at the top, and Texas right behind them with Arch Manning, Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, Clemson, LSU number 8, BYU number 9, South Carolina filling out the top 10, Cyclones at number 11, the Crimson Tide at 12, the Illini at number 13. Are you kidding me? Not that I'm questioning Illinois. They've got Luke Altmaier coming back and Aiden Lowry, the running back. They've got a lot of good core guys coming back. It's not Arizona. They're ranked ahead of Arizona State at 14. SMU is at 15. Kansas State at 16. And then at 17, you find Indiana, which I'm more than surprised by, because I think that team is going to be a better team than this past season. Now, their record is definitely more challenging, with not only one road game that is big time at Oregon, but 2, you're at Penn State, and 3, you're at Iowa. So, man, any talk about schedule, there will not be that talk next year. I think Indiana just has to win one of those 3 games. If you win your home games and you win one of those 3, you go 10-2. I do not see Indiana missing out on the CFP again. That would be a nice resume, because they would be just about where they were, 1 win short, but they would have a quality win over either Iowa, Oregon, or Penn State. Who is that win most likely to come at? That's a great question. Iowa's going to be tough, because their defense is always good. They've got a good running game, and now they are jacking up the quarterback. They got the kid from South Dakota, right? So what the hell is Iowa going to be like with a quarterback? That's going to make things different. Oregon's at home, so that gives them a huge advantage. Alton Stadium's a tough place to play. I don't think Oregon was as good last year as people thought they were. They got a good win early over Ohio State by getting lucky with Ohio State kind of screwing up, and then skated the rest of the season. But we'll see. We shall see. It's just going to be. I think it's going to be fun. Again, the Florida Gators number 18. There's a coach that was almost losing his job last year. Tennessee drops all the way to 19. Louisville's at 20. Michigan at 21. See, who knows what these teams are really going to be like? Texas A&M 22, Miami 23. Didn't they just pick up a great quarterback? So Boise State at 24 and Ole Miss all the way down to 25. But the thing is, these are crap. You don't know what's going to happen. There's still portal things that are going to go on. Yeah, it's a lark. It is definitely a lark, but that's that. That's some football talk. Russell asking, I missed it. Daggone it. I think he was asking, can Malik Reneau help this team get back to where they were? Daggone it. I hate when I click on something and the comment just disappears on me. But if that was the question, my answer would be, I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't know what Malik Reneau brings to this offense. Partly because I don't know what this offense is. Not going to lie to you. Still no idea. Other than pounding it inside and then working out. There does not seem to be a true perceived offense. Yeah, well, we'll wait to talk about that. As a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, we'll talk some IU basketball as they take on Northwestern tonight up in Evanston in a game they need to win because they need to steal a win. They've got to make up for losses they've already incurred, and they have to find some Q1s along the way. Appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday. Glad to have you. Looking forward to chatting it up more with the Hard Truth from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, which we'll be back to in just a moment. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along and appreciate you as always. Baseball's Hall of Fame announced yesterday. Some new entries going in. Looks like, let's see, Ichiro Suzuki. Oh, that's one we're going to talk about. There was an idiot. I talked about the AP voting a minute ago. We're going to talk about the voting there. The full class announced yesterday, of course, Ichiro Suzuki, one of those. CC Sabathia, the old Yankees pitcher, and Billy Wagner makes it in. Wagner skated in on his last opportunity, receiving 82.5% of the vote, up from 73.8% last year, which meant he was 5 votes short of making it last season or last time around. The 7-time All-Star, best known for his Houston stint, is one of the best closers in baseball history, but he was low in innings pitched. Doesn't matter now. Sabathia earned 86.8% of the vote, well above the 75% threshold. His resume speaks for itself. 2007 Cleveland Cy Young winner and 2009 Yankees World Series champ, was also a Hall of Fame teammate, as Brendan Curdy wrote today in a great story. Sabathia was a unique character and one of the game's best pitchers. Kudos. Ichiro Suzuki, there's no question he was going to make it in. This guy was, he's just amazing. But guess what? He was 1 vote short of a unanimous induction. And that I don't understand. But you got one single voter who, fortunately for him, is anonymous at this moment. But you got that going for you, which is nice. So there's that. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy when that name comes out, because why? There's just no, how in the world do you not vote for someone who is that achieved? Crazy. Seth Davis, who is a college basketball analyst, I believe on CBS, had an article out, and read that yesterday, and it sure made a lot of sense. Yeah, but let's see, where are you? Nope, that's not it. Boogie Fland, I just saw someone point out he's out for the season. Yes, he is, at Arkansas. Arkansas not having a good year under Calipari. They're not playing in the brutal SEC. Ironically, Kentucky rolling with Matt Pope, having a hell of a year. So it's going to be interesting. Calipari's, he's probably on the backside, but he's getting paid very nicely by Arkansas. He has parlayed that into a big time deal. Jared says teams get up for IU. Look at Minnesota winning at Iowa, because Iowa doesn't care much about beating Minnesota. Well, Minnesota also beat Michigan in overtime. Michigan is one of the top teams in the conference. I don't think it's just Indiana. And I don't think teams are All right. I had this discussion yesterday on the Rivals Indiana, the Hoosier.com board with someone. Indiana does not put the fear of God in people anymore. Not only that, coming to Assembly Hall does not put the fear of God into people anymore. It actually, I think now people or teams, players have the attitude of, hey, let's go into Simon Scott Assembly Hall and get us a win. That's how I think. You know what it used to be like? And I would see this personally. It used to be like teams would come in and what you would see would be some of the players having their phones out or even little cameras back then filming. Oh, we're at Assembly Hall. The great venue. And it received its flowers. Now, not so much. They take it as a challenge now. And that's a problem. I promise you, people look at Mackey as a very, very tough experience. Brian says Vegas isn't impressed with what's in these. Well, you got to follow that up with something, bro. Let me know what you're talking about. Yes, the schedule is brutal. Not the next 5. Well, I'm sure that it is. You could probably take any number of 5 out of the next 7. But being at Northwestern is not the toughest game you're going to play all year, but it's plenty tough. Indiana's will be an underdog if they pull out a win there, so it's tough enough. You come home against a Maryland team who has not played as well as I thought they were going to play this year, and Indiana should be able to get a win there without question. Bradley says he's trying to figure out what's up with Mbako's recent extreme drop-off in his scoring. Well, if you can figure that out, brother, you're going to have you'll win a Nobel Sports Prize because everyone would like to know. Woodson obviously doesn't know. But sometimes players just go through slumps. Now, we've seen that in life. Baseball, a guy, 0 for his last 37, 0 for his last 35 with runners in scoring position. There's just all kinds of things that will catch up with you. He's in a bad slump, but the thing is, he's not fighting through it. He's not using other parts of his game to focus on and get his mind off of it because it can consume you. It could definitely consume you if you let it. But focus on playing the greatest defense you've ever played in your life. I guarantee you, if he did that, he would just see a change that may lend itself to the shooting. Maybe it's a relaxation thing. I'm not sure. But, start by just playing the most ferocious defense you can play and take the ball to the rim. Do other things. Be a part of the team in other ways. You're a very athletic guy, man. Fight through it. Woodson's answer is to take him out, which I understand you can't have an unproductive player on the floor. But what is going on to work that through? I don't think anything. I think it's just, well, you just got to keep shooting and hope that they go in. No, set up some plays, man. Tell him, get to the hole, Malik. Hey, I mean, not Malik, but McKenzie. Hey, McKenzie, when you get down here, hey, try to take it to the hole. Try to do this. Try that. Give him some encouragement. Give him some alternatives. Something. But yeah, Christopher's expecting an embarrassing performance tonight. I'm not sure about that. I think that the stuff that went on was a wake-up call for them in a way. And at least for those, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like Luke Goody, I don't want to use the word cares the most, but wants to win the most. I just get a feeling that he wants to win more than certain others. Nothing to back that up. Total gut feeling. Not calling anybody out. Just kind of raising him up. And of all people, the one who was dumb enough to get into a Twitter, I hate calling it an X beef. Twitter beef sounds so much better. Twitter beef. Stupid. And Mackenzie Mbako, I know that he posted a Psalms or something yesterday, a Bible verse, which is wonderful. But here's my point. Get off social media. Get in the gym. Stop with the social media. Get off. Put your flipping phones down. Pick up a basketball. I'm not saying that they're not doing that some, but it's not enough. Get off social media. It's not impossible. It's not. It's not necessary. It's not. So why? Why is your focus being diverted in any direction other than winning? That I don't understand. It's I can see your focus getting misplaced for a bit, you getting lost, but I can't see it not being brought back into where it should be. There's wake-up calls, and you get those, and you wake up. It's not happening. Not sure. Yeah. But Russell, there you go. There's that comment. Boogie Fland. Man, that dude has had a journeyman's career, huh? He's been all over the daggone place. Aaron says, Cronin, his press conferences are crazy. Yes, the coach, it's his culture. They don't care. I kind of like that a little bit. He's got that fire. I don't follow him enough to know, is he right? Maybe he's right about his team. Yeah, channeling his inner night. No doubt about that. Let's see. Any other comments I could jump on? Well, so what are you expecting tonight? I think Indiana, the thing is about Northwestern is they're not in Iowa, get up and down the floor, but they'll get up and down the floor without question. Of course, you've got a solid coach in Chris Collins. He's 7 games over 500, his overall record, 188, 181, his 12th season at Northwestern. Only place he's been. He began his coaching career back in 97 in the WNBA. He spent 2 seasons as an assistant at Seton Hall. Was an assistant at Duke, but this is his first job. Northwestern began the season by winning 5 of its first 6 games. But, of course, you're not playing anyone in the beginning of the season. So, when people were pointing to Indiana's 13-3 record, didn't mean anything to me because those 13 wins came over teams that averaged 145 in the net rankings. But Northwestern had some good wins and has good wins. Their lone loss came on the road at Dayton back in early November. But then they lost lost a home game to Butler, on the road at Iowa. But then they beat number 19 Illinois. Crazy. So they definitely have some talent. We've got plenty more to get to and plenty more to talk about. We'll talk about that game tonight with Rick when he joins us. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Kyle Neddenriep. Braylon Mullins he is putting his stamp on the Mr. Basketball trophy. They might as well engrave it and mail it in now. What a week he's had. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bite, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Wednesday in January. Joined now by the great Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, the beat writer for high school basketball and football. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Good, Jim. Sorry, my camera's not working. I have to restart my computer, so I just leave it like it is, if that's okay.
No worries. I'm sure most people would prefer that mine wasn't working as well. So we're all good there. Man, it got cold. Thank goodness it's basketball season and not football season right now.
Oh, you're telling me. That's yeah, I always feel that way when it gets about to November, and it's you feel like it's ready to head indoors. And luckily we get that Thanksgiving weekend. We are indoors at Lucas Oil, but yeah, it's brutal right now. I had covered a game last night at Franklin, and it was a cold walk to the gym. That's for sure.
Absolutely. But the one thing that is hot and keeps rolling is Indiana basketball. And a lot of teams, although Fishers is at the king of the mountain right now, they've got a lot of company of some good teams below them and from different places in parts of the state, whether it's up in the region or over in Fort Wayne, down at Evansville and Jeffersonville. So you've got teams, a good geographic spreading this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at this point, I had this question kind of come up over the weekend. It's like anybody can anybody beat Fishers? And I think somebody can, certainly. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But at this point, it's like, it feels like they're going to have to kind of have an off game, and someone's going to have to really shoot it well or defend well or do something that's maybe unusual to do it at a really high level, maybe shoot the lights out on a given night, and something crazy happens. But, it is, but in fairness, there are a lot of really good teams. Crown Point right now, I think, is probably arguably the second best team in the state. And, do this Power 20, Super 25 that looks at all the teams in the state. And, yeah, there's a good mix. I mean, Crown Point's, I think, a legit, really good team. I think obviously Greenfield Central, and with what they've done, they've only lost 2 games. And, one of those was against Fishers, and it was a really close game. It was kind of a up-tempo, get up and down at the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Evansville Reitz, I think, is really good. If you look at the southern part of the state, Evansville Reitz, I think South Bend St. Joe in 3A. And I think in any class, they're really good, but in 3A especially, they're going to be really tough and can make another run, I think, to the state finals. Anderson's having a really good year. Jeffersonville, like you said, is their 8-5 record's not indicative of what they are. They played a lot of good teams, and some of those without Trey Singleton. Brownstown Central, to be honest with you, they are, they're legit team again, and even without Jack Benner from last year, they had a lot of guys come back. They're 11-0 and just blasted Silver Creek last week. So, but yeah, there's Southern Indiana's got good teams. Fort Wayne Wayne is really good. Crown Point up in the north. Northridge, I think, is a team to watch. So yeah, Princeton, another team from the south. So it's not only Central Indiana. There's a lot of good teams, and that's typical. In basketball, especially, not so much football maybe, but certainly in basketball, it's usually well represented throughout every part of the state.
One of the teams that you did mention, and not for any purpose, I know, was Greenfield Central with Braylon Mullins. And it's not that they're not good. They're 11-2 and have had some good wins, especially recently. They beat Newcastle 72-50 and Eastern Hancock 100-46. Braylon just doesn't have enough help, I think. But he is, he's a one-man wrecking crew. Last 2 games, he had 41 and 31 points. That's 36-point average, man. He might as well just engrave his name on the Mr. Basketball trophy and mail it out.
Yeah, I think that's that's kind of my thoughts to a certain extent. I never slam the door on anybody necessarily, but I just don't know who that person's going to be that can eclipse what he's doing. 34.5 points a game. He's shooting 50% from 3. He's averaging, he's, I think, leading the state in steals per game. He's like 4.1 steals per game. Just all of the stats are really good. And I do think, their team is pretty good. I mean, I think they've stood up against some pretty good competition so far. They played Fishers close. Lawrence North beat them up pretty good. That's a really tough matchup for them because they don't have the interior players that Lawrence North does. And Lawrence North played a great game that day. That was at the Forum Tip-Off Classic and kind of just took it to him. And Xavier Robinson played really well that day. He's the one guy I think that, if Lawrence North can make a run, and even that I think would probably pretty unlikely that he would have the overall numbers and probably the votes. And honestly, they haven't had a bad season at all. So they're 11-3 right now, and I think very capable of making a run. I just don't know that he's going to have the overall numbers to stack up. And numbers are, and I caution against just I don't like when people just look at numbers only, because it's kind of numbers in a vacuum doesn't mean what, anything necessarily. But Mullins has gone up against really good competition and performed at a really high level. He's got he's probably going to be McDonald's All-American. So he's going to have all the things that I think lead to being Mr. Basketball. I never like to completely slam the door. You never know, injuries too. I mean, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But, there are, we've had Alex Kudo from Carmel. He was such an important part of their team. And I thought he was going to be an Indian All-Star, and I think still should be considered. And he would, by the nature of his injury, I think be able to play by June. But man, it's been a tough year for injuries, and he suffered one, unfortunately, on Saturday. But yeah, I think Mullins at this point, man, it would be hard to beat anything he's doing right now.
How is Jeffersonville now that they have Trey Singleton back? I know they beat the tar out of my Highlanders last Friday night. And that was kind of his first minutes free, go out, play all you want kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, they're and even when I watched him in the Hall of Fame, he didn't play. Obviously that was his first time in the game, and he, even being out there at that point, he only played, I think, 13 minutes that first game. But just being out there, they looked different. Everyone was more free. Cooper, if Michael Cooper can get free, which he did in that game, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, he's Singleton's finding him on the perimeter, but then I saw a video of Singleton dunking. I forget, I apologize who posted that, but it's like, okay, well, he looks like if he's not 100%, he's at least back to looking like himself. And, that's trouble for the rest of the state if he can get feeling that way. They play a good test on Friday. They play Center Grove at home. Center Grove is not, they're maybe not what they were last year, but they're still a really good test, I think, and have won, I think, 6 games in a row. So that'll be a good test for Jeffersonville. But yeah, I don't think anybody's looking at them like, oh, they're 8-5 and they're maybe not what they were last year. They were, they didn't have a great record last year going into the tournament. And then they looked like one of the best teams in the state and almost got to the state championship by the end of it. So, they've got a route where I think they can, they'll be tested. They haven't played New Albany yet. That game was rescheduled, and I think be played in, about 3 weeks here. And that'll be a good test for them. But, Evansville Rights too, they play down the road. That'll be a really fun game. But yeah, I don't sense anybody sleeping on the Red Devils. And, I think they'll be, honestly, when they're at their best, they're definitely a top 5 team in the state, if not even higher. So, no, I don't think they're, you should shut the door on them at all, especially now with Singleton playing without restriction.
And do you think he committed too soon, Trey Singleton?
I don't know. I mean, it's, I'm sure he wanted to get locked into, into somewhere, and now it's like, well, you can, I'm not saying he's going to do this, but you're basically free to go, after whatever period of time. So
it's actually probably a good way of getting people off your back. You're like, I'm committed, so they won't bother you as much. So
yeah, it's hard to go through when you're a senior. It's hard to go through your senior year when you've got those options. I mean, you might as well, you finish it out and get locked in, and then you can kind of get focused on getting ready for that opportunity. But yeah, I don't think he's I think he really liked Northwestern, first of all, and he had some good options out there. So yeah, I mean, I think he probably did the right thing.
What's up next for you?
Just got a story coming tomorrow on Shelbyville basketball. They're playing really. Watched them last night. They're a team that's fun to watch, and kind of a team that's been off the radar for a while, a few years now. And then I got something coming on Bryson Cardinal for next week. Guerin Catholic senior.
How about Guerin Catholic, man? For those of you that don't know, they're a small Catholic school, the Fighting Mitchell Pages up there in Indianapolis, but they are rolling along. They just got a huge win over Cathedral.
Yeah, man, that when I saw that, I was texting with their coach that night. It's like, man, that's a huge win for them. And they're, you talk about 3A, man. it's not easy in 3A. There are a lot of really good teams, including Guerin and Cathedral's in 3A too. So you got those two will could meet up again. South Bend St. Joe is a 3A team. They are loaded. So New Pal, there's a lot of really good 3A teams. Addicts is 3A. So the way they restructured this classification system, there are a ton of good 3A programs right now.
Looking forward to it, buddy. I cannot thank you enough as always.
You bet. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Hey, make sure you're a subscriber to the Star and be a follower of Kyle Neddenriep to keep up with all things Indiana high school sports. The great Rick Bozich joins us next. We've got IU basketball to talk about, Big Ten basketball, college football, whatever. We've got it all. The world is your oyster. Once we return to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this break. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revestco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie Island, Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Joined now, for those following along on YouTube, you can see our new engineer. There's Hank. Just, say hi to Ruby's dad, Hank. Now go back to the engineering room. Get something done. He doesn't get a lot done. I notice he sleeps a lot on the job.
Is that new?
Oh yeah, little rescue pup. What is this? 3 days now. 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the potty training is that's hard to keep up on.
How old
8 months. 8 months, but he's been in a foster, so actually probably does fine. But I've got to get on his schedule, I think. Got to make a little adjustment. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little difficult when it's -2, which it was when we
Yeah,
went out for the to check all the engineering equipment this morning first.
Yeah, and they don't like it sometimes when it's real. The ground's covered. It's too crunchy and stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta have the right spot, man. You've got to have the right spot. Speaking of the right spot, Indiana's got to find it for themselves. Find that the right spot, as they are currently they're sitting in the upper third of the Big Ten standings, but they have yet to hit the toughest part of their schedule, which is coming, and that does not include at Northwestern tonight. That does not include against Maryland at home up next. But after that, it gets real, and so that's going to be an interesting path for Indiana. But if they can manage to pull out these two games, which these are possible wins. I'm not saying that they're going to win. They're an underdog tonight at Northwestern, and Northwestern plays really well at home. But if they were able to pull out those two wins, man, they would extend their chance to actually do what I don't think they have a chance to do, and that's make the NCAA tournament. Their numbers are just horrible, but they keep hanging around.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Lenardi, what he posted yesterday, they're the last team in. So they're going to be fighting it out with teams like Cincinnati, which lost last night, North Carolina, which lost last night, Texas, SMU that Louisville blew out last night, and then the Ohio State team that they beat, and then they bounced back and beat Purdue. So it's going to come down to the last week of the season, unless they get on a run. If they do the win-loss thing going forward, it's going to come down to the last week of the season, and then how they do in the Big Ten tournament. So they're not out of it. They're not in it. They're got to play their way in.
Losing to Indiana fires teams up. Let's see. They beat USC. USC goes to Illinois and wins.
True.
That's unbelievable. They beat Ohio State. Ohio State goes to Mackey and beats Purdue. A little surprise. That's college. I mean, that's conference play, but it does not correlate to Indiana beating the teams they beat.
Yeah, I mean, is it correct that Woodson's record against Northwestern is 0-4? Did I read that somewhere?
I believe so. He's 1-5 against Nebraska, I think.
Yeah, you got to beat Northwestern. Maryland's been a terrible road team this year. Got to win that game. Then you give yourself a little cushion. And then after that, it's at Wisconsin, at Purdue, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, these two games are critical. Got to win at least one. You win them both, then you put yourself in you change the dynamic about your team. Would it be their first three-game winning streak in the Big Ten? Would it be? I don't know. But, they played okay against Ohio State. They didn't play great. It's been a while since they played what I really think is a great game. But we'll see. Yeah,
I mean, they had Luke Goody and Umar Ballo. Again, other than that, they didn't get a lot of help. It's surprising when two guys that have decent games can beat a home team, especially. But I don't know what was going on with Ohio State in that game, but they have not been the most consistent team this year. But no. Indiana has the opportunities in front of them, and Yad is asking, do I think IU has a pathway to being relevant in the Big Ten as long as Woodson is the coach? Well, if you mean by relevant, if you mean challenging for titles, no, I do not. I think that has proved its point every night. Now, I just think this is funny. Hump Everest. That's pretty funny. I like
Maryland, by the way, is 0-4 on the road this year, so they haven't won a road game. They got one at Illinois tomorrow before they play Indiana, so they should be 0-5 on the road before they come to Bloomington on Sunday.
Yeah, and so this team has all the stuff that it had going on heading into that Ohio State game. And then Luke Goody, the guy that was kind of at the center of it, is the one that stepped up and had a great game For whatever reason, he strikes me as the guy that cares the most about winning on this team. He's been on the team not very long. It's his first season, but it just maybe it's because he comes from a winning culture when he was in Illinois, because of how he was coached by Brad Underwood. You know how those guys play. And I think that he has that in him. Now, my question is, if Malik Reneau returns tonight, which is possible, there's nothing said about it, he'll probably be questionable on the report. But if he returns, what do they do? You going to take out Goody, or are you going to take out Mbako, who's 0 for 15 in the last 4 games on 3-point shots and 4 of 29 from the field overall for 13%?
You don't take out Goody. And to go back to what you said about him, I agree with you. He seems to be the guy who gets it more than anybody else. And that's not surprising because, A, he comes from an IU family. He used to go to IU games when he was a kid. His dad played football at IU. His uncle played football at IU. He wanted to come to IU, but Archie didn't offer him a scholarship. So then he wanted to play in the Big Ten. He went to Illinois, and then the first opportunity really he got, I think that he knew that IU would take him. He came. He left a winning program that's been better the last couple of years to come to Indiana. He gets it. And if more guys played the way he played, they'd have a better record. I think I would leave him in the lineup, and I would take Mbako out. I mean, the games that I've watched recently with Mbako, what alarms me about him is when you watch him compared to other good teams, he's not engaged on defense. I mean, he's not. He doesn't get down in a stance. He's not aggressive on putting pressure on the guy he's guarding, on the guy who has the ball. He doesn't react with enough urgency on switches, and a lot of times it looks like his approach to the game is totally dictated on whether his shots are going in. And if they're not going in, he's somewhat checked out, and he's not contributing. So put somebody in there who's going to check more boxes in terms of defense, passing, aggressiveness, than somebody who you're just waiting for them to make some shots.
Yeah. I commented earlier about that very thing. I said, with McKenzie and Mbako, if your shot's not falling, focus on something else. Play lockdown defense and just get after it and see what happens from that, because you'd be surprised on what that would lead to offensively, number one. And then number two, and Mike, of course, he really pointed this out the other day, but at the beginning of the season, he was driving to the rim, and that was a different element to his game that we hadn't really seen. And he was doing it effectively and often. Not anymore. If the shot didn't fall, it's like, boom, I'm not doing anything. And partly that's why you haven't seen him on the game. He's been on the bench. Woodson cannot get him engaged. And that's just, it's odd for someone who wants to go to the next level. Buddy, that effort is not, that ain't going to cut it.
No. And I would say that I'm sure part of it is in the early games, he didn't get as much resistance going to the rim. You're playing against teams in the Big Ten. They know you, they've seen you, they scout you harder. They take away what you want to do. And they say, let's see. And he's not a great ball handler either. And in terms of, I think against better defenses, if he's more at risk of turning the ball over when he tries to drive. But, the defensive part of it is truly alarming to me. I mean, there's just too many games when he doesn't engage on playing defense. And if you're a coach, that's like, to me, the number one thing you can't accept. If you're not going to guard, if you're not going to rebound, you can't play. Put guys in there who really want to guard. I know that I talk about Louisville a lot because I watch them the most, but if you really watch them play, and I watched them last night, they played SMU, which scored 117 in its last game against Miami. And I know Miami's bad, but SMU had 10 points after the first 12 minutes because Louisville was guarding the heck out of them. And, it's a cliche, but I mean, defense is not dependent upon your shots going, and you're going to have games when you don't make shots, but a lot of good coaches have said that your defense can be consistent as long as you provide the effort. And I would like to see Mike Woodson, buy into that and say, hey, the guys who are really going to guard, they're going to play.
Yeah, well, at least he has responded such by
sitting him.
Yes, he's been. I mean, he has not played, man. His minutes have gone just plummeted. But and I said this a few games back. If I'm in Baco, I'm begging, put me back in, put me back in. But if you're not, and you've got a towel, or if you're over on the bench with a towel on your head, you've already lost. You've lost.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And sometimes you see things that you're not sure what you're really seeing, but a couple of times I've looked on the bench when Indiana's gotten on rolls and guys are standing up and clapping or they're cheering and he's not leading the charge and some of that stuff. So I don't know what's going on, but he's got the ability to be a better player than he's been. And as you said, I mean, I remember last year talking to him before last season at media day, and he basically said he thought he'd only be at IU for 1 year. He wanted to go to the pro NBA after 1 year. Well, he's getting further away from that goal than he is closer to the goal with the way he's playing.
Yeah, it's as if he thought it was just going to magically happen because he had been touched by this magic wand. Because
he was the highly ranked recruit who was going to go to Duke, and he was part of that AAU team from New Jersey with DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw, and all three of those guys were allegedly one and done guys coming out of high school. And DJ Wagner's playing and really not excelling this year at Arkansas. He's playing okay. He's not playing like he's a first-round draft pick. Aaron Bradshaw's playing at Ohio State. He's not looking like he's an NBA draft pick. And Mackenzie Mbako's playing at IU, and he's not looking like he's an NBA draft pick. So all of them were hyped big time in high school. They were all top 25 recruits, and they were the number one AAU team in the country.
Yeah, yesterday I read an article that was by Seth Davis, which I know you're very familiar with, but he pretty much laid it out in essence, which nothing that all the rest of us don't already know, but that instead of using this opportunity to put together an incredible team that IU could have, he's put together a team that won't work, that will not work together from a functional standpoint.
Because the pieces don't fit together, or because they don't have a work ethic?
Well, that second part is there. He didn't even mention that, but just the first part. I mean, it was done before you even got to and that's a good point, because effort and just working your butt off on things sometimes magically overcome talent. Magically overcome whatever. You got to create your own luck. But when you're doing neither, when you don't have the right pieces and they're not working hard, you are not going to be successful.
Yeah, I have to read that piece. I haven't read it yet. I agree with, for the most part. We've talked about it before, that I think the biggest problem is in today's game, you need four guys really who can handle the ball, shoot the ball, pass the ball, drive the ball. And Indiana doesn't have that when they get their full lineup, when neither Reneau nor Ballo can play effectively away from the basket. So you're trying to do it a different way than everybody else. I guess it can work on some occasions, but at the very highest level, I don't think it works. And they still don't have, a stud guard. Miles Rice has had some great games. He's solid. But he's not elite.
He's not yes.
You got to have a stud who can really go get you a basket when you really need one, and is elite defensively. Again, I go back to Louisville. You remember Chucky Hepburn from Wisconsin. I mean, he's having a phenomenal year for Louisville. He played last night. He hit I think three of his first 4 threes. And then after that, he really didn't concentrate on scoring. He finished with 13 points. He had 16 assists. He set the Louisville school record with 16 assists and only 2 turnovers. And he plays good defense. He shut down SMU's best guard. So give me really good guards and give me a big man who can handle the ball, drive the ball. Man, Indiana really hasn't had a guy that could do that since who? Troy Williams?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a high flyer.
Right. Justin Smith, as we talked about before, he did a lot of good things, but he was a liability when he had the ball in his hands. If he tried to drive the ball, he would pass. His assist total was very low, and he wasn't really a great outside shooter. You got to have a forward who really, a small forward or an undersized power forward who really the defense has to fear, because he can beat you in a lot of different ways. When you're defending against Reneau, you have to defend about taking away, him turning to his right and shooting with his left hand on the block when he backs you down. You don't have to worry about him 15 feet from the rim, right? I mean, I agree with Seth. It's been a poorly constructed team. And as we know, I mean, it's been a team constructed sometime at the last minute. It wasn't like they went out before that season and said, we really want Malik Reneau. It was like, oh, Malik Reneau decommitted from Florida. He's available now. We need a player. Let's go get him. Just like they did with Bates, just like they did with Mbako. The guys all the guys they have this year in the portal. I mean, that's not like they've targeted many of these guys out of high school and said, this is the guy we want. This is the guy we're going to develop. And this is the guy we're going to build a team around. Who would it be on this team?
That's the best thing, the most accurate statement I think I've seen today. Brian S. says IU is a glorified AAU team. And you know what? That's very accurate, because you think back to some teams of recent, Logan Duncombe, who was viewed as this big-time recruit, ended up where? Nowhere.
He's at Winthrop, and he doesn't even play that much.
Yeah, that's amazing. He was this big, can't miss kind of a guy. And that's what you get with AAU, hits and misses. Christian Lander, he is, got to have him, got to get out of school early. Big mistake. All this stuff. But tonight they go into Northwestern and they need this win. Everyone needs a win, but they need this win because it's a place where you can possibly steal a win, and which Indiana's going to have to do if they have any aspiration of making the NCAA tournament, which I don't see happening, but it's not impossible. So I'm not going to rule it out. They beat a team. They just beat a team that beat Purdue. So can they beat Northwestern? I think that they can, but I don't know that they will. They haven't been successful in doing it under Mike Woodson, and Northwestern's successful at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's that we mentioned earlier, losing 4 straight to Northwestern. That shouldn't happen. Northwestern's a team that's, played a lot of close games recently. They should have beat Michigan on Sunday. They lost. The game before, they won on a buzzer beater and beat Maryland. I mean, they hang around and play close. They make shots. But they're not an elite team. I don't even know if they're a bubble team or not. Are they?
Northwestern?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they are right now. I mean, I don't have that pulled up, but I just from a guess from where they are.
And they're ranked ahead of Indiana in the computer rankings. So,
well, who
Indiana's
is it?
Last team in? I don't know. Northwestern might be, and let's see where they are in the net.
Who is it ranked ahead of Indiana in the net rankings? Well, they're
ahead of Indiana. They're number 52, and Indiana's 63. So if Indiana's in, Northwestern's in. So this is a game that becomes even a more reason you need to win the game. And
it's a Q1 game, right?
Yes, it is.
They're top 75 at home.
And it's among road games you play the rest of the year. It's probably going to be the least intimidating environment, because in Evanston, there's a lot of IU fans in the Chicago area, and there'll be IU fans at the game. The women's team went into Northwestern and won. You look at road games, where would you rather play, Northwestern or Michigan State or Purdue or Wisconsin? I think it's pretty obvious.
And there's usually a good faction of IU fans at the Welsh Ryan Arena because of the proximity to the state there. But there's a ton of IU fans. Chicago is its second biggest city of graduates.
Hey, if the football team went into Northwestern and won, the women's basketball team went into Northwestern and won, the men's basketball team, it shouldn't be a bridge too far to expect them to go into Northwestern and win.
Great movie. I just watched it for the first time.
Bridge Too Far?
Yes.
It is a great movie.
That's life is funny. Rick Bozich is with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about that article that I mentioned a bit, and how Indiana has put itself in a position, and where do they go next? Back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this break. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bite, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. On this Wednesday, Indiana heads to Northwestern to take on the Northwestern Wildcats tonight in a game that is going to play a part in who makes the NCAA tournament. As Rick mentioned in the last segment, Northwestern ahead of Indiana in the net rankings. So a win would be a quad one win for the Hoosiers, and it would probably get them back to 60 in the net or something thereabout. But yesterday, Seth Davis had an article out in regards to Indiana. He talked about pretty much everything, and he started out by saying, as Many people warned at the time of Woodson's hiring his lack of experience as a college coach has turned out to be a major impediment. There aren't many programs in America with more NIL money than Indiana at the moment, yet instead of building a cohesive roster that could succeed in the pace and space era, Woodson created a team that is woefully out of date. The Hoosiers attempt 32.3% of their shots from behind the three-point line, which ranks 330th nationally per KenPom. Their 31.4 three-point percentage ranks 274th. That style may have worked when Woodson played, but in today's game, it's an anachronism. Yeah, well, that's not something that we didn't know, but that puts some numbers to it, a few more numbers to it. And it's, now the people from outside are talking about it. I don't see a path to Woodson being in Bloomington next season. Luckily for Indiana fans, because there's not a path to success. Someone asked that earlier. No, there's not a path to success because he just refuses. Okay, he not knowing something is okay. That's not an issue. But refusing to recognize it, refusing to try to do something about it, refusing to try to adjust is asinine. And he has all of the resources at his disposal and using none. Instead, bringing in old buddies, creating a staff full, and I'm not talking about the assistants that were just Archie Miller holdovers. Hint, hint. Yeah, let me keep the assistants from the losing regime from before me because I am not capable or I'm too lazy to go out and get my own staff. But then you've got these other guys that are on the payroll that what the hell are they doing? It's these all guys that are supposedly NBA experienced, but what does that do at the end of the day? I don't know that it does anything.
The thing about the style of play is that is concerning or alarming or disturbing, however you want to say it, is that it hasn't changed. It worked okay when you had Trace Jackson Davis because he was the best player in the country.
And you had Jalen Hood-Schifino.
And you had Jalen Hood-Schifino and Race Thompson. But mainly Trace Jackson Davis. I mean, he made it work, especially his senior year. Khalil Ware was okay. He's not Trace Jackson Davis, and this year Ballo isn't. And you've watched the way the game is played the last few years, and you haven't changed or adapted to it, and that's an alarming sign of stubbornness or failure to recognize what's going on around you, or inability to put together a plan and adapt your philosophy to do it, and that's not going to work. And I don't know. It's they're at a crossroads of they have to decide of they're going to fix this thing or they're going to muddle on through after this season. I don't think anything's going to happen during the middle of the year.
No, neither do I. And anybody that does is, I think, is not realistic.
And because of just the way it is, there's so many teams in that middle ground that are scrambling for tournament spots. They could win enough games and get in, but they're not a team that's going to do anything in the NCAA tournament. And after it's over, they need to have a serious discussion and say, with the current staff in place, can this team win Big Ten titles and compete on a national level? And I think anybody who's been watching over the last 4 years would say, no, it can't.
No, and in that article by Seth, he texted others. Let's see, where did he first talk about that? He texted others around the sport asking whether or not Indiana is still a top 10 job. And many cited the unrealistic expectations of the fans as a major negative. A prominent agent called the fans delusional, while another agent added the fan base's expectations can be extreme and unrealistic, and I think that scares some coaches. It's not the prominent tier one job some think. I agree and disagree. I agree that it's not at the moment, but I disagree because the minute you get the right guy, if you think getting the right guy for IU football was successful, getting the right guy for IU basketball will be double successful, because this is a state that craves basketball, that produces basketball, that is already has great tradition. Indiana football is having to create everything. So it could instantly be what it should be. And the NIL and portal era is the perfect ingredient, or the perfect ingredients for that to happen. It just hasn't.
I mean, I generally agree. I mean, if it would be a more alarming sign that it wasn't a good job if the fan support dropped off to nothing. That people are still coming and supporting this product is a sign of an engaged fan base that wants to win and would be willing to contribute to NIL at an even higher level if they were given a product that's commensurate with what the support is. Is it unrealistic to expect it's going to be back to the way it was when Knight was in his glory? Yeah, that probably is, but not if you find the right coach. I mean, UConn has gotten it back to where they are, and they were unhappy with Kevin Ollie, and they drove him out and brought in Hurley, and now they're winning. Louisville was unhappy with Chris Mack and then Kenny Payne. They brought in Pat Kelsey, and now they're winning, and people are coming back and supporting the team. If Duke or North Carolina or Kansas or Kentucky had the malaise that IU's had for the last however many years, their fans would act just the same way. They just haven't found the right coach. And when they do find the right coach, it'll come back to the where it is. But they've tried all these different formulas, and I thought Archie Miller would be a decent coach. He wasn't, and he was not fit. His personality wasn't fit for the job. You know, I don't know. It's perplexing. I hear that stuff. Any coach that would be afraid to come to Indiana because the expectations shouldn't be the coach.
I agree with that. That's the one thing where there would not be. There are some. I wrote to something yesterday that Bob Knight is not walking through that door to steal a Rick Pitino line, and most likely, the next coach is not going to be a Bob Knight. There aren't many Bob Knights. There are few of those kinds of guys, but there are many that win, that are successful.
Right,
and that's what you got to do. You've got to get the right guy, and they have not done that for a multitude of reasons. This goes back to the administration, but a multiple layer of administrations. It's not one, it's many. This is mistakes that have been made, and it's like, what, are you kidding me? It's
well, let me say this. I mean, look at Ohio State football. Are their fans delusional? Yeah, they are. But, you know, look at the heat that Ryan Day was getting, and he would have gotten even more if he hadn't won the national championship. You think Michigan fans are going to be happy with Sherrone Moore if he doesn't get them back in the playoffs next year and make noise? How long do you think Alabama's going to tolerate another season like they got this year out of Kalen DeBoer? The programs that aspire to be really great have fans that put pressure on the coaching staff and the administration to win. That's a prerequisite of having a top program. I mean, it's not any different than anywhere else. It's a lazy analysis to say that IU fans are unrealistic. Anybody who says that hasn't watched the product that they've been given over the last 8 years or 9 years for sure. They haven't been given a product that it is equal to the financial and emotional investment that the fans make in the product.
Absolutely. There would be no complaining, or very, very little, if they were winning. At least winning, somewhat consistently. There's always going to be some moaning, but you want that. You have to have some passion. You have to have and Indiana is one of those places that does. The fact that their fan base is still this passionate this long after not being good is almost amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and you look around, I mean, they've been passed by Illinois. Brad Underwood's built he got hired the same year as Archie Miller. He was a better hire. He's built a better program. Purdue hired Matt Painter. He's been there, second longest in the Big Ten. He's consistent. He wins every year. This was supposed to be a down year, and they're still going to make the tournament even in a down year. Tom Izzo is the king of the Big Ten. Greg Gard's taken over for Bo Ryan, and they win. You know, he lost Chucky Hepburn and AJ Starr and Asigian and all these guys, and Wisconsin's still winning. It's not unrealistic to expect Indiana should have the consistency of those programs and be a team where you look at them and say, they're going to be on the bubble again to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's not being unrealistic.
Wisconsin again. Wisconsin and Illinois. And you might as well throw Michigan State and Purdue in both in there.
Yeah.
Those four teams have been unbelievably consistent.
Correct.
And in Illinois and Wisconsin, they have been consistent with constant change that you just mentioned. Illinois, it's like they have a new roster. They lose guys every single year, and Brad Underwood puts another team together. It's amazing. Wisconsin, again, you just lost their, well, we'll just go at it again. It's good coaching. It's a plan. It's having the knowledge of what you're trying to accomplish. I don't know that this team understands what they're trying to accomplish. I really don't, because personally, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish when they're on the floor.
I agree. I mean, we don't know what the plan is. We don't know, what the plan is, to scramble at the end of the season and put a roster together and stick this guy here and stick this guy there. And, there's just so many different things we can go on. The scheduling, the style of play, the inconsistency, the puzzling losses, the inability to beat Nebraska and Northwestern, Penn State. I mean, that's not being delusional to expect Indiana should be able to beat Nebraska, Penn State, and Northwestern. And I think he's got a losing record against all three of those teams, right?
Which is amazing to say that. Yeah,
I know that's not delusional. I mean,
no, none of it is delusional. Here's the issue. I don't think that their frustrations and all of that, none of that's delusional. It's accurate. What the problem ends up for me being is they cross lines. They start interacting with players and then calling players losers and this and that. And I'm like, whoa, get out of that crap. That shouldn't be going on.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the issue I have. You had a piece out, I don't know, a couple of days ago. I don't even know what today's date is. Yeah, five days ago, in regards to what Indiana has to do. And I don't see any choice but to make a change at the end of the season. If they don't, then I don't. That, to me, that's saying that you just don't care. I understand there's some financial systems, but and I don't think I've talked to you. Have I talked to Dusty May's buyout is only $5 million and becomes $4 million at May 1st. I was told that last minute change of heart between Louisville and Michigan was because he was able to negotiate that lower buyout.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not sure, but Dusty May's doing good things at Michigan. I know they've had a bad loss last week to Minnesota, and Minnesota now suddenly come alive and beat Iowa at Iowa last night. So
crazy. They've got 2 Big Ten wins. Both of them are quad ones.
That's amazing. But the pressure went down on Friday night because Indiana won that game in overtime against Ohio State. If they would have lost that game after blowing a 10-point lead in the last 5 minutes, the pressure would be through the roof right now. But they won, so the pressure's off. And we're just going to go through this for the next however many weeks. What is it, 6 or 7 to the end of the Big Ten tournament? And then they have to have an honest, realistic discussion of where the program is and where they want it to be.
Oh, I think those discussions are happening right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But a decision made and move on. And the thing that I don't know how you can bring this guy back, considering the level of the fan base has already made its decision.
Oh, yes.
Right?
They've moved on.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My question is,
high school recruits have made their decision, Jim.
Oh, absolutely.
Liam
McNeely. That's another thing I posted yesterday to
and Mullins and Harrelson and
Harrelson,
Derek Queen,
Sisley,
Bland, on and on.
The guys you missed out on that you didn't even look at. Trey Singleton at Jeffersonville, not even given a look, even though his coach is Sharon Wilkerson, a former IU player who should probably be on the next IU staff. I'll be honest with you. He's a hell of a coach. And I'm not saying he should be the head coach.
And the other thing that caught my attention is that it was interesting that they lost the game last Tuesday night and got blown out by Illinois and embarrassed. And Woodson was asked about the crowd behavior, and he said, "I love our fans and I respect our fans," and all that stuff. And then they beat Ohio State, and somebody asked him about the outside noise and the heat, and he said, "Oh, that's ridiculous." It's not what he said after he was in the building and he got booed, but then after they won a game, it wasn't ridiculous, and it's not going away. And it just really showed the way he feels about it, is that he doesn't like to be criticized at all.
Oh no, thin-skinned. They're very thin-skinned.
Yeah. And he either disregards or he doesn't get how unhappy people are. He doesn't get it because he's got his small circle of friends who support him, who can keep him insulated from that, I guess, with their financial backing. But
the yes men,
if you get outside that, protective barrier, he's not going to like what he hears and sees and feels.
Nope. My last question, getting back to Dusty May's buyout.
Okay.
There's no doubt that was done with purpose. There's no coach at his position at a school like that in his first year that has a buyout like that. That was not accidental.
You would think so. I just surprised Michigan would go along with it for that level. Knowing what could possibly happen. They're not ignorant. They know what the situation was at IU last year and how close Woodson was to people wanting to move on from him. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out for Michigan the rest of the year. I mean, I don't know Dusty at all. I know you've had him on the show, right?
Oh yeah, Dusty's a great guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I've heard nothing but great things about him. I know people that know Dusty and respect Dusty and went to IU with Dusty, and he gets the whole IU thing. I'm sure in a perfect world, if there was no other complications, he would do anything to coach at IU. But I just wonder, it's kind of similar to when Jeff Brom was at Purdue in the Purdue job opened, the Louisville job opened after a year, and he didn't feel like he wanted to walk out of his commitment to come to Louisville. And then the second time it opened, he came. I don't know if that's how Dusty feels about it or not. The job's not even open yet, but in a perfect world, I think Dusty May would have to be at the very top of the list if something happens at Indiana.
Yeah, and I agree with you about that, but that low buyout there, it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. The great Rick Bozich, if you are not following him, you are missing out on great content at WDRB.com, and follow him on Twitter /X, whatever. Appreciate you, my friend, and have a great rest of your week. You and really stay warm.
Give Hank a hug, man. We'll have to get them together someday.
Absolutely. We'll talk some hoops. Rick Bozich. Appreciate you. That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So happy to have each and every one of you guys along for the ride. We're back tomorrow to do it again. We'll have the results of tonight's game at Northwestern. We'll talk football. Bob Kravitz will be with us as well. Coach Shannon Griffith. Appreciate you. Until tomorrow, and myself will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.